Charame pori bela je Udita tapana hoile asta Dinagilo boli hoi bipyasta Tabekino ebe alasaho na bhajari doyaraje Jivana nitya jana hasa tahena ravira viparava nitya jana hasa tahena ravira viparava namashraya kori jatane tumi dhaka apanaka Kalyana sadhanaka Jagate asiye madhuryana Abidyatimira tapana rupe Hrid gagane briraje Krishna nam sudha kori apan Juda bhakati dinoda pran Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Vajiva boliya ese samsara bhitare. Puliya rohile tumi abhijara pare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Tomare lohite ami, Huinu avatara. Tomare lohite ami, Huinu avatara. Ami binna bandhu aro, Keache tomara. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Anichi Ashodhi Maya, Nashibaru Nagi. Anichi Ashodhi Maya, Nashibaru. Harinam Mahamantra Lautu Nimagi. Harinam Mahamantra Lautu Nimagi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Bhakti Vinoda Prabhu Charane Poriya. Charane Poriya. Lailo Magia Harinama Mantra Lailo Magia Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Premanande Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. We're taking up in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in the chapter entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. And that's in Adi Lila, chapter 5, the descriptions of the tattvas, or various truths that designate reality. Understanding clearly, ultimately, supreme cause, the musician behind everything that's maintaining us, not just a creation or a creator, but that's maintaining us at every second. It's his energies that are pervasive within every cell of our body, even now, right this second, that are maintaining the universe. This universe is rather incidental. It's caused by the illusion of the living entities, and it's a facility for that. And even that is maintained by the energy of the Lord, practically nonchalantly, as he merely glances over the creation, and everything takes place by his energies. So knowing the different categories of energies is especially important. Knowing what's inferior and superior energy, because wherever we decide to invest our energy, we're going to reap the result. And in Bhakti Yoga, we understand, or come to understand, not only what is the source of all energies, but how to give our attention, our love, our service to that original source, whose divine intelligence and personality, Krishna. And this is describing Krishna's first expansion, Balaram, who maintains the spiritual world. Actually, he expands into it and makes the facility there, and then by extension, the material world as well. Sarvaga Ananta Vibhu Vaikuntari Dham Krishna Krishna Avatarer Tahai Vishram. Sarvaga, all pervading. Ananta, unlimited. Vibhu, greatest. Vaikuntha Adi Dham, all the places known as Vaikuntha Loka. Krishna, of Lord Krishna. Krishna Avatarer, of the incarnations of Lord Krishna. Tahai, Their Vishrama, the residence. That Vaikuntha region is all-pervading, infinite, and supreme. It is the residence of Lord Krishna and his incarnations. Tahara upari bhagi Krishna loka kyati Dwarka mathura golok trividhate stiti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Tahara, of all of them, upari bhage, on the top, Krishna loka kyati, the planet known as Krishna Loka, Dwaraka, Mathura, Goloka, the three places known as Dwaraka, Mathura, and Vrindavan. Tri Vidhatve, in three departments, Stiti, situated. In the highest region of that spiritual sky is a spiritual planet called Krishna Loka. It has three divisions, Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. Sarvapadi Shigalok, Vrajalok, Dham, Shigalok, Shwetadipa, Vrindavana Nam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sarva Upari, above all of them, Shri Gokula, the place known as Gokula. Vrajalokadam, the place of Vraja. Shri Goloka, the place named Goloka. Shvetadipa, the white island. Vrindavananam, also named Vrindavan. Shri Gokula, the highest of all, is also called Vraja, Goloka, Shvetadip, and Vrindavana. Sarvaga Ananta Vibhu Krishna Tanu Sam Aparyadho Vyaparaiche Nahika Niyam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Like the transcendental body of Lord Krishna, Gokula is all-pervading, infinite and supreme. It expands both above and below without any restriction. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami, the great authority and philosopher in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has discussed the abode of Krishna in his Krishna Sandarbha. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord refers to my abode. Srila Jiva Goswami, examining the nature of Krishna's abode, refers to the Skanda Purana, which states, Yayata bhuvivartante puryo bhavata bhavatata priya tastata santi vaikunte tatta lilartam adrita. The abodes of Godhead in the material world, such as Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula, are facsimiles representing the abodes of Godhead in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha Dham. The unlimited spiritual atmosphere of that Vaikuntha Dham is far above and beyond the material cosmos. This is confirmed in the Swayambhuva Tantra, in a discussion between Lord Shiva and Parvati regarding the effect of chanting the mantra of 14 syllables. There it is stated, Nanakalpa lata kiranam vaikuntam vyapakam smaret adha samyam gunanam sha prakriti sarvakaranam. While chanting the mantra, one should always remember the spiritual world, which is very extensive and full of desire trees that can yield anything one desires. Below that Vaikuntha region is the potential material energy, which causes the material manifestation. The places of the pastimes of Lord Krishna, such as Dwaraka, Mathura, and Vrindavana, eternally and independently exist in Krishna Loka. They are actual abodes of Lord Krishna, and there is no doubt that they are situated above the material cosmic manifestation. The abode known as Vrindavan or Gokula is also known as Goloka. The Brahma Samhita states that Gokula, the highest region of the kingdom of God, resembles a lotus flower with thousands of petals. The outer portion of that lotus-like planet is a square place known as Shvetadvip. In the inner portion of Gokula, there is an elaborate arrangement for Sri Krishna's residence with his eternal associates such as Nanda and Yashoda. That transcendental abode exists by the energy of Sri Baladev, who is the original whole of Shesha or Ananta. The Tantras also confirm this description by stating that the abode of Sri Anantadev, a plenary portion of Baladev, is called the Kingdom of God. Vrindavan Dham is the innermost abode within the quadrangular realm of Shvetadvipa, which lies outside of the boundary of Gokula Vrindavan. According to Jiva Goswami, Vaikuntha is also called Brahmaloka. The Narada Pancharatra, in a statement concerning the mystery of Vijay, describes Tat sarvo pariko loke tatra loko pari swayam viharet paramanandi govindo tulya nayaka. The predominator of the gopis, Govinda, the principal deity of Gokula, always enjoys himself in a place called Goloka, in the topmost part of the spiritual sky. From the authoritative evidence cited by Jiva Goswami, we may conclude that Krishna Loka is the supreme planet in the spiritual sky, which is far beyond the material cosmos. For the enjoyment of transcendental variety, the pastimes of Krishna there have three divisions, and these pastimes are performed in the three abodes, Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. When Krishna descends to this universe, he enjoys the pastimes in places of the same name. These places on earth are non-different from those original abodes, for they are facsimiles of those original holy places in the transcendental world. They are as good as Sri Krishna himself and are equally worshipable. Lord Chaitanya declared that Lord Krishna, who presents himself as the son of the king of Raja, is worshipable, and that Vrindavan Dham is equally worshipable. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Ramanande Prakashtar Krishnara Ichai, Ek I Swaruptar Nahi Dui Kai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Brahmande, within the material world, Prakash, manifestation, Tara, of it, Krishna Ichchai, by the supreme will of Lord Krishna. Ak-I, it is the same. Swarup, identity, Taro, of it, Nahi, not Dui, two, Kai, bodies. That abode is manifested within the material world by the will of Krishna. It is identical to that original Gokula. They are not two different bodies. The above-mentioned Dhammas are movable by the omnipotent will of Lord Krishna. When Sri Krishna appears on the face of the earth, he can also make his Dhammas appear without changing their original structure. One should not discriminate between the Dhams on the earth and those in the spiritual sky, thinking those on earth to be material and the original abodes to be spiritual. All of them are spiritual. Only for us who cannot experience anything beyond matter in our present conditioned state do the dhams and the Lord himself in his archa form appear before us resembling matter to give us the facility to see spirit with material eyes. In the beginning, this may be difficult for a neophyte to understand. But in due course, when one is advanced in devotional service, it will be easier, and he will appreciate the Lord's presence in these tangible forms. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. 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 Janatira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. And now please turn to the Sri Brahma Samhita, verse number 43. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Goloka namni nijadamni tale chatasya devi mahesha haridamasu teshu teshu te te prabhava nichaya vihitash jayena govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Goloka namni, in the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, Nijadhamni, the personal abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tale, in the part underneath, Cha, also, Tasya, of that, Devi, of the goddess Durga, Mahesh, of Lord Shiva, Hari, of Narayan, Dhami Su, in the planets, Teshu Teshu, in each of them, Tete, those respective, Prabhava Nichaya, opulences, Vihita, established, Cha, also, Yena, by whom, Govindam, Govinda, Adi Purusham, the original person, Tam, him, Aham, I, Bhajami, worship. Brahma says, lowest of all is located Devi Dham, mundane world. Above it is Mahesh Dham, abode of Mahesh. Above Mahesh Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm, named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. The realm of Goloka stands highest above all others. Brahma, looking up to the higher position of Goloka, is speaking of the other realms from the point of view of his own realm. The first in order is this mundane world called Devi Dham, consisting of the 14 worlds, that is, Satyaloka, etc. Next above Devi Dham is located Shiva Dham, one portion of which, called Mahakala Dham, is enveloped in darkness. Interpenetrating this portion of Shiva Dham, there shines the Sadashivaloka, full of great light. Above the same appears Haridham, or the transcendental Vaikuntha Loka. The potency of Devi Dham in the form of the extension of Maya, and that of Shivaloka consists of time, space, and matter, are the potency of the separated particles pervaded by the penumbral, okay, somebody look it up, penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of the divinity, penumbral, like penultimate. But Haridham is ever resplendent with transcendental majesty, and the great splendor of all sweetness predominates over all other majesties in Goloka. The Supreme Lord Govinda, by his direct and indirect power, has constituted those respective potencies in those realms. Penumbral, please. Uh-oh.
It means a space of partial illumination, as in an eclipse, between the perfect shadow on all sides and the full light.
Wow. Thank you. And now turn to Vaikuntash Janito Vara Madhupari Tatra Pirasotsava Vrindaranya Mudari Aniramana Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Now we're going to the Sri Upadeshamrita.
Oh, wow.
We'll start a little higher, though, than I just did for that. Vaikuntash Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatra Pirasotsava Vrindaranya Mudara Pani Ramana Tatra Govardhanaha Radha Kunda Miha Piko Kulapate Premam Pratap Lavana Kulyarasya virajato giritate sevam vadekinakaha. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme, for it is overflooded by the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kunda, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? The spiritual world is three-fourths of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. The interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadasha Vana, such as Talavan, Madhuvana, and Bahulavan, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura, but superior to these forests is the divine Govardhan Hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, denizens of Vraja, from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radha Kunda at the foot of Govardhan is superior to all because it is there that love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radha Kunda because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Radha and Krishna and the Radharani, Rati Bilas. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Vrajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakunda. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually searching for the exact location of Radhakunda. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakunda was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees, headed first by the 6 Goswamis such as Rupa and Raghunath Das. Presently, there is a large lake known as the Radhakunda there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radhakunda. Thus, Radhakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militandena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Nitaina Mineche Namirhate Sharamuyinam Dite Che Nitaina Mineche Namirhate Tai namineche namirhate shadhamuye namnite chere. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Arajo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanyasta Dama Vrindavana Ramya Kachidupasana Vraja Vudu Vargina Vokolpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana Mamalam Prema Pumarta Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matatayadaya Snapara. The opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These are the teachings of Mahaprabhu in essence, according to the Chaitanya Manjusha. Arajo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayasta Dhamma Vrindavana. Can you check the...
It's someone on.
Thank you. First is that the Lord and his abode are non-different. Arajo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayasta Dhamma Vrindavana. There's no difference between Krishna and his divine abode, Vrindavan. Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Vokalpita. The highest method of worshiping the Superiority Godhead is that which is conceived by the gopis of Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate authority on everything. And the ultimate goal of life is prema, to attain prema. This essentializes the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one we heard about today from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also from the Upadeshamrita and the Sri Brahma Samhita, is a clear mapping of the graded realms of the material and spiritual world. And these realms are graded according to the consciousness of the living entities. They're a facility provided for each living entity according to his or her consciousness. Yeyata amam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. Are you on this, Monisha? Figuring it out? What's happening?
Yes,
there?
it's someone on Jamulus Marriage. They need to mute themselves on Jamulus.
Okay. Thank you. At least it's not fire alarm. Okay. Yeyata mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham mamavart manavartanta marusha parta sarvasha. Krishna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita that he is facilitating our impetus, our desires and proclivities. Saparijakukram akayamavranam asnaviram shudam apapavidam kavir manishi paribusvayambur yatatyator tan viradashasvatibhya samabhyaha. The Sri Upanishad, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the ultimate and origin of all other entities. He's completely spiritual. It means he has no icha or dvesha, no involvement with matter, no desire or hatred for anything material. He's only facilitating the living entities by fulfilling their desires since when? Since a time immemorial. Every desire of the living entity manifests, which takes place by in a human form, the living entity's desire comes in a subtle form and then proceeds upwardly and becomes more and more grossified until it comes out in the form of speech. And then the desires manifest in the external environment and begin to take more and more shape through the material energy. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fulfilling the desires of the living entities. He arranges for that material facility. And he is also the substance that makes up that material facility. It's all emanating from him. When a living entity, after many, many births and deaths, realizes that it's a futile attempt trying to arrange the material nature in such a way that one can become happy. And this can take millions and millions of births. Bahunam jamanamante gyanavam mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sadurlabha. Till one becomes a great soul. Great soul means one who has developed an emotional attraction towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whether he or she knows who that Supreme Personality of Godhead is, there's a mood within the heart of such a person that I've tried everything. You may not write it on paper and say, I tried everything and list everything, but there's a definite determination within the heart that I've been here before. I already did this. It's all been done and more. And as Prahlad Maharaj confirms, punak punak charvita charvananam, you tried it, you keep trying it in different forms, recycling it. It's the same substance, just with different colors and shapes. You're not going to get anything out of it. So at that time, the living entity who's fortunate, Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. He comes to the end of his material existence, just like, as Akura said when he was entering Vrindavan and praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just like a log is floating and floating, and it appears that it'll float forever, but sometime it may come to the shore. It's such a rare thing. The living entity in the material world is moving from one life to another with no hope of ever getting out, ever. But somehow or other, by some good fortune, just like a log, somehow or other, it reaches the shore. So the living entity who comes in contact by good fortune with devotees, and then the desire within his or her heart fructifies that I don't want this material world, I want to surrender to the Supreme, whomever that may be. I don't know who it is, but the mood awakens in the heart. And then by the facility of association with Vaishnavas, those who already are full of momentum towards worshiping the personal form of the Lord, which is the highly developed external manifestation of that desire, that there are those who have had that desire, have had that good fortune, have received it and taken full advantage of it, and have become, they're infused with this spiritual energy, having come in contact with devotees and having given themselves to the process of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that living entity becomes fortunate after wandering. Brahmande Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jeev. Bhagyavan means fortune. You get fortune. Suddenly you become fortunate because now you've come in contact, you've hit the shore, and now a miracle has happened. Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By the mercy of the Guru, one gets Krishna. Through the example of the Guru, it says, okay, I want to be like that. And through the instruction of the Guru, it says, okay, I understand. I hear something that wakes up my desire to actually worship the personality of Godhead. Like a guru will be speaking on Bhagavat and say, Aho bakiyam stanakala kuktam, chikamsaya payadapyasadvi, lebe gatim tatruchitam tatonyam, kamvadaya lum sharanam vrajena, kamvadala yum sharanam vrajema. This is a verse by Sri Uddhava who says, who would surrender anywhere else except to Krishna? Because Krishna gave mercy even to Putana. What a horrible person Putana was. She wanted to kill children. She did kill children. She came to kill Krishna, but he just considered, okay, you came dressed as a mother. You offered me your breast. Even though you tried to poison me, I accept you. He says, who would accept anyone else? So a devotee then hears from a Vaishnav these words and thinks, oh, let me try. Let me try for this. And then Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam pachitam pritipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. If you express even an iota, could you look up iota, please? If you express even an iota of desire, let's hear what it is first before I continue. Iota.
An extremely small amount.
Where does it come from? An extremely small amount. Where's that word from?
It comes from Greek, iota, and then it became English.
What language?
Greek.
Huh?
Greek.
Greek. Sounds Greek. Iota. Iota. If you can, if by this combination of being tired of wandering in the material world and somehow or other contacting a Vaishnav, knowingly or unknowingly, you hear something, you see something, there's a combustion of that. And then it awakens in you an iota of desire that let me try for this. Let me put down my guard against everyone else, and especially against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like, I surrender. It's like, I'm going to try for it. That's the day of fortune for a living entity. Because then Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam. Now, Krishna's waiting there to give intelligence. Tadami buddhi yogam tam. He says, I'm simply waiting and I'll give the buddhi, the intelligence, how you can come to me. So then people find themselves, oh, I'm just noticing now. The Hare Krishna movement. I was talking yesterday with a few God brothers in a meeting, and they were recalling how important timing is. And one devotee was talking about a God brother who had been to one of Prabhupada's lectures as a student, but he didn't actually listen to it. He had no recognition that there was even a sadhu there speaking. He just happened to walk through the hall on his way to a class when it was going on. And it wasn't until 2 years later, when he became interested in the process of devotional service, that he connected back and thought, oh yeah, I remember I walked through that hall and he was speaking. He couldn't hear it at the time. It wasn't the time for him. And in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami writes about a materialistic person who was building his capitalistic empire. He had a big enterprise going on. But one day when he was walking through the town, he heard a mother who was calling to her daughter and said, now's the time to come home. And when he heard that, somehow, by a combination of circumstances, it registered in his mind as, oh, I should surrender to God. It's time to come home. At that time, his desire, whatever it was, wherever he had found it, however it had accumulated in his heart, it fructified, and his desire awoke. And then Krishna gave him intelligence, how to come to him step by step. So then Krishna gives the buddhi, the intelligence. Where is that? Where is that goal that you should go for? And according to the kind of association we get, we'll develop a desire for a particular goal. So, as we just heard, the esoteric regions of the spiritual world, which are known to those in a particular mood, this was noticed. It's noted in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Uttara, the mother of Parikshit. You know this. After Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken, there was a little time before that, and when Parikshit would be bitten by the snake bird. And his mother, Uttara, came to speak to him privately and asked him to give the essence of what he had heard from Shukadeva Goswami. So he gave, at that time, very essential teaching called the Brihat, which is now recorded in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Uttara says to him, there must be a special place for those who worship God in a very intimate way, who desire to have his association as with natural friendly love, friendship, intimate servitorship, even parental mood. She notes there are devotees like this. So there must, she says, be a realm to accommodate that, because she's a very wise person. And as I said in the beginning, there's a realm to accommodate every living entity, and a body to accommodate every living entity. So she essentially asks, what is that realm? Please tell me. And he goes on to explain not only what the realm is, but also how one goes there. How does Gopakumar make it to the realm? Interesting story, because he doesn't even know where it is. But he receives some fortune by getting a mantra. And the mantra is emanating from that realm. And by repeating the mantra again and again, he has a vision of his deity, Madan Gopal, in that realm. And he's drawn inextricably to the realm. Krishna helps him, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, by chanting the mantra, one step after another. In fact, he makes it to various realms. He goes to all the different dhams, sees all the different expansions of the personality of Godhead. But by the power of the mantra and by Krishna's arrangement, in all of them, although he recognizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he still feels there's an onward journey somewhere else. There's home somewhere, until he comes all the way back to Goloka Vrindavan. As indicated in the Upadeshamrita, those who wish to go to that realm approach through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur mentions Yata Yata Gora Padara Vinde. It's by approaching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that a desire for that realm, Goloka Vrindavan, will awaken one's heart. What we heard about the very esoteric, practically private information about these graded realms up to Radhakund and Govardhan Hill can be, the desire for them, the realization of what they are, can be realized, says Prabodhananda Saraswati, by worshiping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Anarpita Charim Chirat Karuna Yavatirna Kalau Samarpayitum Unato Jwalarasam Subhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Duti Kadamba Sandipita Sadaraya Kandare Spuratu Va Shachinandana. Anarpita Charim Chirat, Krishna thinks, for a long time I've not revealed that realm, Gokula, the place of my intimate pastimes with those imbued with a kind of love that you don't see anywhere else. You don't even hear about it. As Kaviraj Goswami explains, this is the place where Krishna relishes love with his devotees. It is a realm in which he appreciates the chastisements of his intimate devotees. His friends will say, "You're no big man. I could take you any day of the week. Let's wrestle." His lovers, they say, Krishna comes and Lalita says, Radharani doesn't want to see you, go away. So Kaviraj Goswami says, when he's chastised by his most intimate, loving devotees, in these intimate dealings, he enjoys that more than the hymns of the Vedas, the reverent hymns of the Vedas. You'll hear Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksa Sahasrapat Sabhuming Vishato Vitpat Uttitishtat Shangulam. Brahmanas performing special yagyas and all the reverent hymns of the Vedas. He doesn't even hear those. He's straining to hear what his most intimate devotees will say. So Krishna has a desire to reveal himself to the souls of the world, and it happens in, of all times, Kali Yuga. And he, Krishna, manifests in this particular Kali Yuga as a combination of Radha and Krishna for his own purposes, actually. He wants to taste what Radharani's tasting, which is more than he tastes as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, when Krishna comes as the combination of Radha and Krishna, incidentally, he also distributes the Yuga Dharma, which is usually distributed by an empowered soul or an incarnation of Narayan, either one, to give the Yuga Dharma. But in this Kali Yuga, he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. It's a combination of Radha and Krishna. And therefore, he teaches the process of Yuga Dharma, but it's imbued with this mood of pure love for Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, in Gokula Vrindavan. Arajo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayasta Dhamma Vrindavana Ramya Kachirupasana Vrajada Vidu Vardina Vokalpita. And he teaches that in such a way that even a beginner can start and come from the lowest region of material existence all the way up to the highest conception. So the information that we receive here is important because as we become more refined in our practice of devotional service, we'll develop a desire to associate with Krishna or serve him rather in more and more intimate ways through serving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those desires naturally develop, and by chanting Hare Krishna, as we discussed this morning, as in the mood given by the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by chanting the mantras passed down, those who take Diksha, all of these together, and the association of devotees and the service to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bring us to the path that takes us to Goloka Vrindavan. So that's what we're distributing, and that's what's available to everybody in the Kali Yuga by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Tat Sat. And now we'll just take a couple of reflections. I'm opening up the board to see if there's anything on it. Sri Madhava Mahotsava says the Udila Aruna song where Lord Chaitanya is going on Harinam Sankirtan in the morning reminds me of when you were doing Harinam around the block in New York and devotees were distributing pamphlets. I was very inspired. It's my favorite place to do Harinam is morning Harinam Nagar Sankirtan in New York City and Brooklyn. And for many years, when we were there, we just go out. Actually, I lived in New York for 3 years. And we just go out the door. In New York, you can just go out the door anywhere and do Sankirtan. You don't have to go anywhere. You're already there in New York. And recently, at the New Brooklyn Temple on Schermerhorn, over the last 10 years, I've been, or 20 years, time goes, who's counting? Um, After Bhagavatam class, we would just go right out the door and go around the block. And it's amazing. People are just waking up, they're going to work, and they just got up recently. They got their headphones in, their game face on, going to work. And here we are blasting out. We've been there since Mangalartik, then chanted 16 rounds, sitting down on the floor without moving. And now we heard the Bhagavatam class. And then we just burst out the door with the devotees and go around the block. And the looks on people's faces are priceless. Some of them ignore us completely, like you don't exist. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know why you're doing this even. And other people, they try to hold back their smiles. Some people are very open-hearted. They start to dance and so forth. And then we go and we'd open the doors in some of the shops. What we see in there, this is pre-pandemic, and we just noticed what their mood was. If they weren't against it, if they didn't say go away, everybody would go in. And we go right in the shop and have Harinam inside. We have videos of this. And we just go crazy. It was so ecstatic. I mean, you're just bursting with happiness because you're there. The sun's coming up. People are going out to work various places and the holy name's going on. So Sri Madhava Mahotsava knows he goes out to Venice Beach and just broadcasts the holy name so everybody can hear it. And you can notice in the videos that some people just walk by him like that. They pretend they're not. How could you pretend Sri Madhava Mahotsava is not there with him pounding that drum that you can hear from here to Mount Kilimanjaro, and the holy name is displayed there. So, that's why I said in the beginning, Ye yatamam prapadyante. The living entities, if they can ignore Sri Madhava Mahotsava, they can ignore anything. And that's the material world. It's a collective agreement everyone signs when they come to the material world. Say, okay, if you're going to come in here, you got to pretend there is no Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have to sign this little document that you'll go along with this whole scam of ignoring God completely. Are you up for that? Okay, I'll sign. Okay, you can come in. But some people blow it. Eventually they go like, I can't do it anymore. I quit. It's like, all right, you're out of our group. You can't be part of the material world anymore. And Krishna says, okay, we got plenty of room. We'll take you in. No problem. So the second one is Sukeshri has a question. Sadashiva is Vishnu himself, but Rudra and Shiva in the material world, why do they have a place in the spiritual world? Sadashiva is the messenger of Lord Vishnu in the personified form of his glance. So Vishnu, as we know, doesn't have anything to do with the material world. He's neutral. Samoham sarvabhuteshu means I don't get involved. I'm neutral to the whole thing because he wants to create an environment in which the living entities can gravitate towards their desires, and he'll facilitate it according to their wish so that he doesn't get involved. He wants the living entity to independently choose to surrender to him. Otherwise, there's no love. And so how does he then, as Mahavishnu, orchestrate the creation of the material world, which is full of ignorance? When he glances at the material world, it takes the form of Sadashiva. And that glance, through that glancing process, Sadashiva then, who is Vishnu, but who is Shiram yatara vikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahitata pratagaste heto yashambutam apitata samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamam bhajami. Like milk, but it's touched by a culture of dahi yogurt, and then it transforms. So it's milk, yes, but it's not. It's transformed. So Shiva's like that, and in the spiritual world, all of the demigods, like Shiva, is there in Vrindavan. He wants his service too. He's a great Vaishnav, so he does service there in the spiritual world to protect the Dham. So when you go to Vrindavan, you're supposed to go visit uh, the form of Lord Shiva first, who's protecting the Dham. We do it when we're on the parikram in Navadvip. We go down to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace, and there is the form of Lord Shiva who's guarding the Dham. He does that service there. So he's there in the spiritual world also, doing his service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sanatan Goswami, if you visit his Bhajan Kutir in Vrindavan, which I'm sure you have, he's right next to Lord Shiva there. He's a very important devotee in the Dham. Next one is Dennis and Karina. Let's see, I wondered what is the definition of a disciple in our tradition. Definition of a disciple is disciple means discipline. And it means that one who voluntarily follows the spiritual master and disciplines him or herself. So in the process of accepting Diksha, there's an agreement between the guru and the disciple that you have to follow my example. I'm a disciple. A guru is just a disciple who's following another disciple, who's following the discipline. This is what Rupa Goswami says, Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam, jihva vegam udrapasta vegam, etan vegam yo vishaheta dhira sarvamapimam pritivim sashishat. How is it that one's guru? Vacho vegam, controlling the senses, based on the Shastra and the Guru. Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. He follows that path, not the path of the senses. Everyone follows the path of the senses in the material world. And just whatever the senses do, kama, dinam, katina, katita, palita, durnideshas, they're bad masters. They just, you eat now. And you say, yes, sir. And now I tell you what else I want you to do for me. I want you to work hard for me. And it's like, yes, master. Yes, boss. And so he just follows the boss. And then when somebody wakes up from that tyranny and says, no more, I'm not going to follow these guys anymore. They never did anything for me. They're just torturing me. Then he says, I'm going to follow Krishna. Utsrijayatanata yarupate samprata labda buddhis. He gains his intelligence in the process we described earlier and says, no more, I'm going to follow Krishna. And how does one follow Krishna? By, first of all, following the Shastra. Yashastra vinamutsrija vartate kama karata. Nasasirim avapnoti nasukamna param gatim. Krishna says in the Gita, you don't follow Shastra, you're not going to get much out of life. You're not going to get the supreme destination. You're not going to get any kind of perfection if you don't follow. So a disciple is one who follows the scripture, has faith in the scripture, and says, I'm going to follow it. And that the guru is the representative, the living representative of the scripture. So, okay, that's how to follow. And there's two agents. One is the passive agent, which is the Shastra. It says, you should do this. And then the active agent is the guru, who's the representative of the Shastra, the Diksha Guru, and will say, this is how you have to follow. And the passive agent won't come knock on your door and say, wake up, it's time to get up. But the guru will say, what are you doing that for? You should do this, not that. Or you can ask questions directly. So the disciple is one who's disciplined and agrees to follow. He or she has faith that the Shastra is coming from Krishna, and that the guru is representative of that Shastra. It's the ideal of one's, here's what it looks like when you follow Shastra. So I'm going to follow Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And when one disciplines oneself to do that, then one is known as a disciple. Disciple means discipline. By the way, the word discipline comes from a Latin word which means learner. Without discipline, we don't learn anything. We just get pushed around. Is everyone okay? I'll just do a couple more. Narayan writes, this looks like a question here from Narayan. When spiritual Gokula Dham, spiritual Gokula Dham world is so perfect, beautiful, excellent, and unlimited compared to the material world in terms of devotees, associates, spirituality, etc., as described by verses today, why would Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, would like or take note of contaminated activities, japa, offerings, services, etc., offered by us, particularly me? Why would Lord Krishna accept contaminated offerings? Well, I'm not sure if I understand the question completely, but Krishna's very merciful, and well, his mercy incarnation is a spiritual master. I mean, this overlaps with the last question. Krishna manifests in this world. One of his forms is as there are two forms of guru in this world, actually three. There's a Vartmana Pradakshika guru, who's the one through whom Krishna introduces us to the path of Krishna consciousness. It could be anybody. And the other two forms Krishna manifests through a particular person is a Shiksha guru, somebody who gives instruction. And then there's the Diksha guru. These are all special mercy manifestations. And we find that the guru will accept our service on behalf of Krishna. And so why would Krishna accept contaminated service? Well, a guru generally is a Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari's business is to go out and find people who are innocent and open to Krishna consciousness and then encourage them to make advancement. And such a person would accept some contaminated service because that guru knows that even if there's an iota of desire to serve Krishna, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur puts it like this: if there's mixed devotional service, means contaminated with something else, he said there's an element of pure devotional service in it. Otherwise, what is the mixture? And the Madhyama Adhikari preacher guru sees that and then encourages the devotee, fans the spark that, yes, keep going, because devotional service is so powerful. Jata Shraddha Makatasu Nirvina Sarvakarmasu. There's a verse by Lord Krishna where he says, if you're doing contaminated devotional service, don't get discouraged. Keep going, because eventually the pure devotional service will win out. And there's like the pan scales. In the beginning, here's material life, here's spiritual life. Material life weighs a lot more. Spiritual life is just a little featherweight on there. But gradually, as we put more onto the spiritual scale, it tips it more and more until there's no sense of worldliness anymore. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, and you'll find this in his Prabhupada mentions his commentary in verse 17 of the Sri Upanishad. He says that when the scales are like this, you see they're almost equal, then sometimes worldliness becomes a little more prominent in our life. And then he then quotes Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Apichet Sutarasharo Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak. He said, if my devotee's trying to put on something on this side of the scale, the spiritual scale, but the material scale wins out and he becomes apparently worldly minded again, said, you don't criticize that devotee. Said, you actually have to consider that person to be a saint because they're following the path of the saints. And the reason, Shripam bhavati dharmatma shashvashchantir nagachati konteya prajidani hi nabe bhaktya pradashati. He said, because he or she is following that path sincerely, even though they're blowing it left, right, and center, very soon they're going to become perfect because of the power of the process. Kirata hunanda pulinda plukasha abhira shumba yavanaka sadaya. Yene chapapa yarapashraya shaya shudyanti tasmai pravishnavenama. Shukadev Goswami says, you could be from the most fallen section of the human society. Don't worry about it. If you're connected to a Vaishnav, the power of Vishnu is coming through and you're going to come to the top level because of that power. Quintessential verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's how Krishna accepts our service through the Guru and through the Vaishnavas. And if we take advantage of it, there's every opportunity for us to come out of the contamination and come to the highest level, highest conception of spiritual practice. Two more. Kevala Bhakti is here. We often read in Srila Prabhupada's purports that of the 8,400,000 species of life, 400,000 human species, this seems high. Is this elaborated, explained anywhere? Not that I know of. I've looked around. I have not found a detailed explanation of that, but I'll keep looking for you, Kevala Bhakti. Let's see. In Vrindavan Pastimes from Shringar Ras, a good name for someone asking about Vrindavan Pastimes. In Vrindavan Pastimes, Lord Krishna's body changes from a baby to that of youth. How do we understand that Lord Krishna's body is changeless? Because each one of his bodies is eternal. It's not that he's, each one of his pastimes is eternal and each one of his bodies is eternal. It's not that, he has a material body and it's changing from boyhood to youth, old age. He's simply manifesting a different pastime simultaneously and continuously in each place. And actually, those pastimes go on again and again and again. So as you'll read in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Krishna is going to Mathura, that heart-rending pastime where he leaves Vrindavan and goes to Mathura, and the gopis try to block his chariot, and everyone's in dismay that he's just left Vrindavan. That happens repeatedly. It's always going on. It's not that it happens and then you have to wait around, but it's eternal. It's Nitya Lila. Each one of his pastimes is Nitya, eternal, continuously going on. The other aspect of Krishna's transcendental form and forms that he manifests in order to reciprocate the mood of love of each one of his devotees is that they're always adbhuta. And this is the main feature of the spiritual world, that it's always fresh and new and therefore amazing. In the material world, you look at things in a new light because maybe it's a new day. You look at somebody and it's like, oh, you look a little different today, maybe a little better. Because you're in a better mood, you're looking at your perceptions different. But Krishna actually is more astoundingly beautiful every time the devotees look at him, and they could never get enough of seeing his beauty. It's inconceivable practically in the material world where we're used to entropy, everything degrading, falling apart, getting worse. We're astounded by that. How did that happen? But in the spiritual world, they're astounded in the other way. That Krishna's continually, his forms are becoming more and more, they're always fresh, new, and always better than the last time that you saw Krishna's form. So that brings us to the end of this portion of our program. And now we're going to sing the prayers of worship to our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, who brought Krishna consciousness to the Western world on the order of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and actually made it stick because of his potency. So we'll begin with Namasheshtam Manamapi Shachiputramatra Sarupam Shirupam Tasyagrajam Urupari Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi He Guru Jnanada Dina Bandho Swananda Tata Kurunaika Sindho Vrindavana Sinahita Avatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo He Dina Bandho Kurunaika Sindho Kuru Prasadam Mahimanda Mudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Tatpad Padme Stumatishra Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radhakund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava. See, all coming through the Vaishnav. All those things. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Kahati Sadna Andambui Sabadana Chahara prasare bhai bhavaturiya jai Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te Krishna prapti hoy jaha te Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya oikya Padma kori ho mane asha. Kori ho mane asha. Kori ho mane asha. Sri Guru Charane Rati Aishe Uttama Gati. Charane rati aise uttama gati. Shri Guru Charane rati aise uttama gati. Shri Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. Prasade Pure Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. Chakudan Dilo Je Janme Janme Prabhu Se. Chakudan Dilo Je Janme Janme Prabhu Se. Gyan Hre Prokashita. Gyan Prakashito. Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate. Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate. Vede Gai Jahara Charito. Vede Gai Jahara Charito. Shri Guru Krima Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu. Sing it, Sadhu. Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Desha Shunavari Paschatya Desha Tarine Saraswati Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunavari Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Oh, Premanandi Haribo Haribo Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Ram Bhajan, sing it loud now. Krishna, Hare Hare. Back to Gloka Vrindavan. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Loka, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, go go go, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Gopala Hare, Bhajare, hey, Bhaja Govinda Gopala Hare, Bhaja Govinda Gopala Hare, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radhe Gopala, Radhe Gopala, Bhajare, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Get ready now. Starting at 1 all the way to 10. Go. Kishore, Kishore, Radha Gokunanda, Radha Kunja Bihari, Radha Ras Bihari, Radha Ramana, Radha Nila Madhava, Radha Nila Madhava, Radha Giridhari, Radha Shama Sundar, Bhajare, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare, Bhajare, little more on the hay now, come on now, Bhajare, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare, come on, work with me. भगवान को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है, ऐसे श्री भगवान को मेरे बार बार प्रणाम है। ऐसे श्री ज्ञान श्याम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। ऐसे श्री ज्ञान श्याम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। Nitai Gora Hari Bol,
Hari Bol,
Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Shishiman Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Shishiman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. And now we have announcements by the sankirtan leaders and by the leaders of the bhakti community. So we start with Malini and SKP letting us know what's happening.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji. All glories to Prabhupada. Today we wanted to make an announcement that we have opened up the marketplace, and we have devotees going out. Western Sankirtan devotees are going out. They're covering the entire Bay Area, Santa Cruz, San Jose, Milpitas, then towards San Leandro, Union City, all the way in different Walmarts. And I wanted to show you a picture of Prabhu, can I share somebody can allow me to share the screen?
You can share now, Mataji.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. This is a picture of Sergio. He's at the San Jose flea market and already. And on his table, if you see, there's a Chaitanya Charitamrita in Spanish. So he's gone there to distribute all these books. So please pray for him and bless him that somebody comes and takes the Spanish Chaitanya Charitamrita and all other Spanish books. This is Sergio. And I also wanted to share, there is one letter that came in to Kautuk Karuna Prabhu's home yesterday. And I hope you are able to see it. This letter says, during the Christmas, they have distributed the books to all their neighbors. And one of his neighbor, Tim, who lives in their apartment complex, he's writing that I'm writing to you. Thank you for your kind gifts from Christmas. Please excuse the tardiness of my note. I would like to let you know that I have taken a keen interest in the Bhagavad Gita. I have also begun reading the Science of Self-Realization since March of last year. I've been practicing yoga asana and pranayam daily. In December, only a few days before you gave me the book, I turned vegetarian. These choices have, these choices have proved beneficial for me, but I do not know how to do the Hare Krishna mantra. How does one go about learning it the right way? Anyway, thank you for your time. Please accept these vegan treats from one of my favorite bakeries in Los Altos as a small token of my gratitude for my gratefulness. Your neighbor Tim. So,
Wow. 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 Wow.
so don't worry about the books that you're distributing. It is being read by people, maybe not one time, but many, many, many times. And once in a while, we get these kind of letters to encourage us to keep going. So don't hold back, especially now, because we are approaching Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day. When Krishna came to teach us, gave us a Bhagavad Gita, he said, "Surrender to me, then I will give you. I'll take care of you." But the Panchatattva, they actually went running behind the people and said, please take Hare Krishna Mahamantra." So we can go ahead and distribute the books and Sri Chaitanya Charitamritas until the Gaur Purnima. Please join one of the spots that devotees are going out very carefully, following all the regulations for COVID. And if you have time, you can also join our calling party starting at 2 p.m. today. And we'll all see you there. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So this is a new year, and we're on our way, all of us, back to Goloka Vrindavan. And the more we can engage ourselves in creating an empire based of book distribution, of following up with people and getting them accommodated so that they can practice happily devotional service. The more we can do that in this lifetime and build a portfolio, then the more we fulfill the heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And if we can do that, then we'll have a successful life. So I think that Malini's advice to don't hold back. I mean, hold back on, be careful. It's still a pandemic, as far as I know. I haven't heard much lately of anything, about anything, except for there's more vaccines coming, and I don't know exactly what's happening, except for the playground at our park is now open. So something must be happening. But be very careful. I had a meeting yesterday with senior leaders, and a lot of people are still getting it, and it's very serious. There's long-term consequences. Many people are getting heart conditions and lung conditions that last for who knows. We don't even know for how long. And some people are dying. Indra Marsh told me he's already lost 10 disciples during this pandemic. So he's been, he's especially concerned that devotees continue to be careful. Having said that, we can lean in just as we did last year, knowing that we're building up the Sankirtan movement to please the great acharyas and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and we have full facility to do so right now in the state of the world. So let's do it. Hare Krishna. Now the second half is that when we get somebody who is interested, like Bhakti Tim, we need to also appropriately engage them. And the innovation that took place during the pandemic for a Bhakti community is sweeping the world. And so let's hear from Jai Madhava Prabhu what's happening in that realm. Yes?
Prabhu, I just, before we give it to Jai Madhava Prabhu, they're just an announcement about the Sankirtan devotees that last Thursday was Kameshwari's birthday. And tomorrow is Madhav Govinda Prabhu's birthday. And it was along with Kameshwari's birthday, it was also Suvarna Gopika Mataji's birthday. So we just wanted to wish them, Prabhu, if it's okay.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Our congratulations to all three of you for fully investing your hearts, minds, body, mind, words in the Sankirtan movement over so many years. You are blessed souls, and you're helping millions of others become blessed souls. In history, in the history of the Sankirtan movement, your names are already written and will be known in the history. Thank you very much for all that you do for us. Hare Krishna. Jai Madhava Prabhu, over to you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll provide a quick update on Bhakti community and the progress we have been making in the past week. So as you know, Bhakti community is an online community, primarily for newcomers. So whenever you come across a newcomer giving books, please do share Bhakti community with them so that they can take advantage of the devotee association in making progress in their Bhakti journey. Please visit bhakticommunity.com/invite-newcomers, and you will see a guide which you can use to introduce Bhakti community. If you have any questions, please email hi@bhakticommunity.com, and we can explain how to take advantage of the guide. I also want to share how all the hard work that the team is putting in, Krishna Prabhu, Kautukarna Prabhu, Akshay Prabhu, and everyone involved, and how it's helping all the newcomers and making progress in Bhakti as well. So I have a short clip from Irene. She is a wonderful soul who has made a lot of progress. She regularly attends Bhakti community. So I wanted to play a short clip of hers to show some of the realization, reflection she shared with us yesterday. So here it is.
Thank you for everything tonight. It's been a wonderful session. I wanted to say that in my spiritual journey, and especially now today with the help of Krishna, I'm able to start looking at even the things you do every day, washing dishes, whatever, okay, as a spiritual service, to have good thoughts in my mind, maybe say a prayer while I'm doing them, so that I keep my mind off of the bad things that turn me away from service. You know, when you start thinking awful things about others, and so what, you're serving this horrible world. But when you start thinking of good things just by doing mundane tasks, you're serving the Creator. So it's another way of serving him, is by what you do with the right attitude. And that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's a really important point, because that's where we all live. We have to live and breathe and do laundry, as Bjorg said, that, you know, that there's common everyday tasks. So how is that connected? And we began the talk by discussing about how all the senses can be engaged. Internally, we have internal sense of the mind, and externally engaging the senses. And one of the ways that some of the great teachers of Bhakti have mentioned that we can have an encompassing experience of the process of Bhakti, even if we're starting from a worldly position, which almost everybody is. It's very rare that somebody's born a saint. So they describe that, okay, any kind of work that you're doing, you should consider, I'm doing this as service for Isha, for my original conscious source, for the controller. I'm doing this service. And if you want to up the ante on it, then actually give away some of the results of your work. This is called karma yoga.
So as you can see, it was wonderful to get that reflection, realization, and how much she has made progress, that she's able to think, pray even in her mundane, and she even does day-to-day work. So it was very refreshing for us all to hear that from her. Similarly, we have spiritual fitness as well, a program which is focused on giving Krishna consciousness to various organizations, corporations, yoga communities, etc. So you can visit bhakticommunity.com/spiritual-fitness-for-organizations, where you will get a guide. It has a link to a teaser video, which you can introduce to your colleagues and friends, one sheet giving more details and a guide as well. So this way, it happens every week on Fridays afternoon, and more and more people are joining in. Thanks to Ananga Gopika Mataji, who shared a nice reflection from one of our colleagues. Love these talks. Vaish is the best. Thank you so much for organizing these events. I look forward to them every week. This is Jean. So thank you, Ananga Gopika Mataji, for sharing this. Please do share it with your colleagues and friends that you may know who can take advantage of the spiritual fitness session. We also have Bhakti Community cards and bookmarks. So whenever you're distributing books, please don't forget to get bookmarks from Vrinda Mataji, who has kindly been helping us out in sharing this. Please email hi@bhakticommunity.com, and we'll be able to connect with the group so that we can get these stickers and bookmarks. And lastly, we have Bhakti Community Development Workshop coming up next week, where Vaisesika Maharaj will share vision and values of Bhakti Community, what we want to achieve. Pang Bhakti and I will be sharing the strategy. We'll discuss the Bhakti Community etiquette and care, as well as set 2021 goals. So it's on March 14th and March 21st. So I look forward to seeing you all. Those are some of the quick announcements of Bhakti Community. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sharira Vijaja Jodendriya Tahika Jime Pele Vishaya Shagare Karma Jivati Loba Muisudunati Take Jeta Katita Samsare Krishna Bodha Doyamo Kori Bari Jivada Shaprasharana Diloba Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Premedako Shri Chaitanya Lila Premedako Shri Chaitanya Lila Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sopa Punya Vatam Rajan Vishwaso Nagajayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Hanirasyo Pajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Buddhivarya Vatishtate Tayopa Bhukta Srakanda Vasulankara Charchitaha Uchita Bhojino Dasas Tava Mayam Jayemahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Jai Go Premanande Dita Goda Haribo 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 Nitai Goda Haribo Nitai Goda Haribo 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 Nitai Goda Haribo Ladu Sweet rice, kheer, sandesh, rabri, malpur, tamarind rice, pakora, samosa, every type of shak, bitter melon, all offered to Krishna. Nitai Goda Haribo, 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 Nitai Goda Haribo. Please come take prasadam, Haribo. Vanchakalpadribhascha, Kripasindhabeva cha patitanam pavanibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Onward, back to Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody.
Haribol!